What has happened is in the last 30, 40 years, because of the internet and the easy access to information, very esoteric ideas of Tantra are already out in the public. Okay, so what, not only out in the public, but there are people sitting in various universities across the world, they're doing research and all that. Some once in a while, if I read those papers, I like the fact that they bring out old and rare manuscripts, translate them. I don't agree with their conclusions though. I find there is a strong Western bias in whatever they look at. Western bias. So there is an Indian way of looking at it. There's an Upasaka's way of looking at it. So they are not looking at the Upasaka's way. So their rendition of the slokas and everything is correct. The final conclusion is incorrect.
For example?
Some text I was reading on Tantra by some Western scholar. Leave the name aside. Let's just say Western scholar. So he had very well written essay, very, very robust with lot of examples and slokas and this and that. And then he keeps a line, enters that. So Tantra was more like a kind of a revolutionary path that was against the mainstream Brahminism, and it wanted to kind of, strike back at the Brahminical ideas, things like that. I disagree with this conclusion. So it is true that the mainstream, first of all, the term Brahminism is highly politically loaded. Let's avoid that. Let's say mainstream Sanatan Dharma, Vedic religion. The Vedic religions, Paddhatis and Tantra Paddhatis are different. I agree to that. Kaula Tantras are definitely different. Then there is not just different, it's like either you're here or you're there. If you try to walk both the paths, eventually you'll fall at one point, or you'll never progress. Your mind has to be schizophrenic eventually. Because these, to give an example, in the Kaula Paddhati, we use ritually sanctified alcohol. But in the mainstream Vedic religion, alcohol is strictly banned. If you take even a drop, you have to do prayaschitta. That's as strict as that. Meat is still okay. Fish is still okay. But alcohol, no. Nobody. And the higher the Varna, which is a Brahmin taking alcohol, is even greater sin. They're very clear about it. So whereas Tantra, if you go to the Kaula mark, you not only have to offer it to the deities, okay, with mantras and all that specifically, not just randomly. But even then, it did not start as a revolt and a revolution or as a social work project or some kind of a social revolution. No. Why? That is because they are saying when you are doing the mantra sadhana, say of Ma Kali, you're doing sadhana, you're doing japa, etc., etc. At the end of the day, at the last step, you'll have to do Brahmin Bhojan, which means you have to feed Brahmins. So if they're against Brahmins or if they're against somebody, why would they tell you to feed Brahmins at the end? The reason is Tantra did not start as some kind of social work. That is the bias that people carry sometimes, many scholars from the West. So because of what, everybody has their own biases, by the way. It's human to have biases. You've grown up in an environment, it'll always be there. Which makes me slightly skeptical, not fully, but slightly skeptical of anybody who has taken to Hinduism after the age of 18. Because there are certain inherent biases that will be there. It's not that easy to remove all those things. It will always pop up here or there or somewhere. It's human and it's natural. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Understood.
The ideas of dharma were very tuned towards people who were born and brought up in this land. That is why there were some ideas initially, some great masters and acharyas like Karpatri Maharaj and all used to believe that you should not even step out of India. The moment you step out of India, either you lose your dharma, you have to do prayaschitta or something.
Is there meat behind that thought?
Which? What?
That if you step out of India, it will affect your sense of dharma?
No, certain practices, if you're doing it, it's better not to step out.
Why?
That's because the environment is very difficult outside. Those cannot be done on those areas. It's like, in a way, for dharma, what we call as dharma, India is like the soul. If the whole earth is a body, then India is the soul. The highest cream, most sophisticated dharma is in India. And I say it with full consciousness. I have, within my capacity, studied other religions, both that are existent and some that are not there. But there is not one thing that is there anywhere which is already not included in the whole gamut of the Hindu thought. Everything has been there. It's that sophisticated. And it's possible because there's something in the geography of this land.